Hey guys, glad you're here. Did you know time travel's apparently a thing? Because I do now. I was just playing with a stupid satellite and suddenly, time rift. That's the last time I let Casp at me 5 caps and won't lick something. You'll never guess how I got home. When I first warped, I ended up somewhere in California. My first thought was, wow, this place is really low res. My second thought was I was standing in something very wet. Yeah, turned out I crushed someone when landing. A vault dweller based on his outfit and Pip-Boy. Using my amazing powers of deductive reasoning, I figured out he was from Vault 13, and that it would be up to me to make things right since their savior was all squished and gooey and dead now. So I donned his outfit to replace my own, took his Pip-Boy, and headed out to find what ended up being one of the most cruel vault experiments there was. But hey, at least I got the water tip after I went into the vault. After talking to some locals, I found out I was all the way back in 2161. This is before the NCR was even founded. But I did find where they were founded. Turns out it was a lame little town called Shady Sands. I hope nothing bad ever happens to that place. After a series of misadventures that sometimes made my eyes tired and sent me through a bunch of sad little settlements, I found myself in the Boneyard. This is actually a decent little town. Sure, it was made using the bombed out buildings left over from the war, but I think recycling is a good initiative post-apocalypse. And pre-apocalypse. I heard there are people who might be willing to assist me in the area, but if I've learned one thing in my travels, it's that war changes people, and they all want money before they'll help. Something told me my NCR money from the future wouldn't be very useful here since there's currently no NCR to back it. And all my Legion money doesn't exist because I don't support the Legion. It also would have no backing. So where does one go when they have no money but need information? The library! While I was there, I even got a library card. Now I'm somebody. Not surprisingly, all the books were burnt to cinders or were boring. Reading really is for nerds. I was about to leave when this horrifying dude approached me. I was rooted to the spot in terror, and I realized this must be how women felt when I approached them. But this guy, Talus, is a nice guy and offered me free info. Apparently he wanted to talk to me because I was wearing the Vault 13 jumpsuit, and he used to be from the Vault. I froze and very slowly told him I worked in maintenance, so that was probably why we never met. It's a good thing he didn't question me, otherwise I would have had to smother him and hide his body behind a bookcase. Talus informed me he volunteered to find the water tip first. He paused an awfully long time, but when I didn't applaud his bravery, he continued and told me everything he discovered. Like that, Necropolis had a steady supply of water, so he went there, parlayed with the leader, helped them stage a bloody coup on their oppressive super mutants, killed somebody all but failed, was captured and turned to the abomination standing before me. He was rescued by the study group, or whatever the nerds who hung around here were called, and warned me about the religious zealots hanging out in the cathedral. But one crisis at a time, please. While my eyes glazed over, Talus went on a tangent about Vault 13 politics, saying the vault should open up, but I've seen firsthand what that does. Either get your vault filled with cement or become cannibals. It's much better to stay and be part of whatever inhumane and probably someone's kink experiment Vault Tech cooked up. Over 80 years had passed and the vault was still operational. Perhaps there's something tame like seeing how long a standard water chip can last. I hadn't been to Vault 13 yet, so I didn't exactly feel comfortable weighing in and potentially giving myself away. He started wasting my time with his nonsense, so it was time to beat it. I feel like Talus would have come with me if I had just asked him to. But I really didn't want Talus to come with me, so I excused myself and half-walked, half-sprinted out of there knowing I would see Talus in my nightmares. I continued traversing the wasteland, meeting merchants, having nightmare rendezvous with Talus, and generally straight up not having a good time. Though I did find some nice bullet shields in the shape of people. That might sound callous, but you gotta remember, I'm from the future. They were already dead. Maybe saving me is why. Sure, that says none of us have free will, but I'm okay with that as long as I live another day. Eventually, me and my motley crew got to Necropolis. Ghouls. Why did it have to be ghouls? The place is overrun with them, and even though they looked like they shouldn't be able to walk, they made a beeline for me. The bullet magnets tried to overtake me, but I had help and we cleared the area of them. Though I don't think all of them were feral. But I had a water chip to find and a future to get back to. I couldn't be bogged down with checking if someone was on their knees, begging me not to shoot them. Which did happen quite a bit in hindsight. I did eventually realize I could avoid most of them if I went into the sewers, which saved some lives, and more importantly, my bullets. This is way better than the last sewer system I went into since there was no animal fight club. But there were a lot of rats I had to overkill with my sniper rifle. No matter where I go, death follows me. I kept this in mind as I went to some pacifist schools. They were driven underground by their ghoul leader because they were peaceful, but they were allowed to stay as they were ghouls and could be another line of defense if Necropolis was invaded. They told me they did have a water chip and that they used to have a water pump, but it broke. If I fixed it, I should be able to take the water chip from their vault unmolested. This was when I felt my sanity start to break. Even over 100 years in the past, I still had to delve into these dangerous vaults to fix the problems of others. but this time it was kind of my fault, so I would do it. After fixing the pump, of course. Ghouls are very dangerous, but I was about to do one society to save another. They pointed me in the direction of some parts and offered me some repair magazines that could teach me some things. But I fixed an elevator and a food processor 2 videos ago. I think I can handle a water pump. I did find the parts, but got lost in the ground, so I took the first ladder I could find out. I crawled out of the sewers from like a radioactive toilet and found myself outside of a well-guarded building. After getting past a doorman, I met somebody I actually wanted to kill, but wasn't allowed to. I didn't think anyone could be uglier than Talus, but Set proved me wrong. Don't get me wrong, physicality isn't everything. A great personality can make anyone beautiful. Just remember that heartthrob Rawl. His personality brought him from a 9 to an 11. But Set's personality just made his twisted facades all the more repulsive. I thought maybe it was the radiation rotting his brain, but I later met his son who told me that he was like that before the war. After the residents left the vault and Necropolis was founded, the Overseer was ousted and Set took control within the year. The mission statement of making a safe haven for ghouls is nice, but the way he views them as superior to humans? It gives me the ick. He also eats people, put another point in the opening the vault creating cannibals theory. It seemed the main draw of this area was the continuous supply of water, and I imagine that's the only way they survived for 74 years under Set's rule, because nobody would put up with him if it weren't for this liquid gold. I wanted to oust him and set up one of the peaceful ghouls in his place, but the water took precedence, so I need to get in his good graces. He wanted me to take out the remaining super mutants that Talus failed to kill. I figured my team was up to the task, but I had a vision of the future. Or I guess the past in this case. One of my teammates, Ian, was gonna burn to death in the rumble, and I couldn't let that happen. If they died taking a bullet from me randomly, that's fine, but I couldn't in good conscience actively sentence him to death, especially something that brutal. I had my team hang back saying I could take this one, and boy was I right. Super mutants are wusses. Like, if people had stats or something, it felt like mine were maxed out as I destroyed them all. Really, Seth didn't even need to ask me to kill them. One of them tried to kidnap me, but I used my quick wit to get out of it. But knowing he was actively kidnapping people meant he needed to die to protect others. And of course, I got me in a kerfuffle with the other 5. After a quick bit of thinning the herds to 0, I was able to fix the water pump. Since it now had water again, and my vault suit had mutant blood on it, I put in a suspiciously huge washing machine and went back to Ian to get a change of clothes. He begged me to not make him sit around with Set anymore, and to also please put on pants. So I decided to take my team with me since the primary threat was gone. I found the vault thanks to me initiating a jailbreak on this one completely unsupervised ghoul. I figured he's probably forgotten about since the super mutants were in front of his cell. He was nice enough to tell me that the vault was in the next cell over after I let him out. I descended into darkness and I was confused. Most people keep the vaults closed for safety and to prevent theft, but this one was wide open. It was also completely burnt out. I was shocked to find that the elevator still worked in this condition. I quickly swept the first and second floors, but there was nothing except ghoul corpses that were probably already there when I arrived. The third floor was also a complete wreck, and I was relieved the water ship was actually in working order. I got what I needed, but I was there. I wanted to know what happened here. It took me a while, but I was able to get a computer online, hack the database, and found the information hidden to the vault dwellers. The reason this vault was so wrecked was because it was meant to be. The vault door was designed to never close so that Vault-Tec could study the effects of radiation on residents. I dug a little deeper and found a copy of the Western United States vault location pamphlet, which mentioned Vault 12. The tragic thing is that this vault was so well prepared that they received the Pressed Vault Suit Award, which is given the vaults most ready for the war. The residents did everything right, except pick the right vault. Worse yet is that when the bombs did finally fall, many residents of the area forced their way into the vault after hearing the door never shut. They overcrowded the vault to try and protect their families to no avail as the radiation flooded in. Nearly 6 years later, those who survived the radiation decided to leave the vault and founded Necropolis, while a few others wandered away. I'm not sure why it took so long to leave the vault when it was just as wrecked as the city, and that's when Set chased the previous overseer out and took over power, and that's how things stayed for 73 years. I did go back to see Set to see if he'd offer me something extra for killing the mutants like he asked, and while he appreciated me, my reward was basically peanuts and I left perturbed. And that sealed the deal. I was taking a play from this guy's book and initiating the second bloody coup on this guy when I got back. Eventually, after taking care of many errands, I returned with my trusty sniper rifle, ready to pull another rot face by putting a bullet in Set's head along with his followers. I went to check on the peaceful ones first to see how they were doing, but they were all dead. Not just them, but every ghoul in the city was dead. All of them. But all of them include Set, so I win. I later learned this was in retaliation for the death of the super mutants, and I felt guilty. But then learned some actually did escape and go on to found Gecko, Dayglow, and Broken Hill, so really, 3 new towns were formed thanks to me. And is Necropolis under Set's rule really a loss? Either way with that, the story of Necropolis in Vault 12 was closed forever, and so I left it to get reclaimed by the wasteland. Vault-Tec got the results of their experiment. Those that survived the radiation turned into ghouls. Not only does this mean many of the residents survived, but also went on to found multiple settlements. Shockingly, the vault fulfilled its original mandate, which is incredibly ironic. Not because radiation saved them, but because the vaults were never meant to save anyone.